Well, hello. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Steven. So this week's blog is entitled Disparity. And I use the little literary device that I often do where I'm having a conversation with a lieutenant colonel at the officers club. And we're talking about the disparity between different legal cases. This is kind of important, So a lot of times I get questioned by clients, if I do X, will this result in me being arrested? And this seems to be, by the way, the biggest concern. It's being arrested. It's not necessarily being prosecuted, right? The biggest fear is going to jail, which is entirely understandable, to be quite frank. But the question is usually, look, let me give you a hypothetical fact pattern, and does this hypothetical fact pattern result in me getting arrested? My response to that is typically, I don't know. And the reason I say I don't know is that if we're just talking about the arrest, a lot of that is going to be determinant on whether or not the particular law enforcement agency that's involved has a policy to simply just arrest everybody. That happens all the time. The bigger question is whether or not you're going to be prosecuted. And that is oftentimes up to the individual deputy district attorney that's litigating the case. And it doesn't necessarily mean the policy directive from the district attorney's office. It means the actual individual that happens to be sitting on the other side of the bench. We have had several cases where we've had district attorneys that have been very amenable to pre-arraignment dismissals, and if the defendant engages in certain types of remedial conduct and things like that. We have had other district attorneys where they have been basically hell-bent on trying to get a conviction. Ironically, they usually lose. But, this disparity is really problematic, right? And oftentimes you can come up with some totally bizarre results. I mean, in the instance that I talk about in the blog, you have one individual that gets involved in a fight which ultimately results in someone being physically injured. And that case is completely dismissed. In another instance, you have an individual that engaged in conduct that resulted in absolutely no injuries. But in that case, the district attorney wants their pound of flesh. And it does create this sort of bizarre disparity. In any event, I do encourage you to read the blog. As always, train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. Above all else, stay safe.